Hey guys, welcome back to Beards and Bitcoins. We are your crypto podcast for the man's man, and yes, the ladies that love him. I'm your co-host, Jay Chains. As always, joined with me is my compadre, my amigo. I got to find some other words for you, man.
Yeah, you use the same Hispanic words every week.
Well, we're in Texas again, so
true.
It's kind of the theme. So, again, we're joined here. We're bringing you another episode of the Beards and Bitcoins crypto podcast. Very excited to be doing so. How have you been?
How
have you been, Ben?
I've been Ben my whole life. Things are going pretty well. Enjoying life. We just bought a new house. We did all kinds of stuff. Been in a lot of transition, looking for life to calm down a little bit. Hopefully by the beginning of next year for me personally. But however, the price of Bitcoin goes up, then things might get more out of control than ever. So I've been good. Things are good. Today we're going to be talking about something that I think is super interesting. We're going to be talking about the tension between eSports and gaming and regular sports. And we're also going to be taking a look at some sports figures that are leading the charge in crypto in the United States and beyond. So definitely make sure to stay tuned for the rest of the episode. Okay, Jay, so here is the deal. You and me, we're regular dudes.
Just a bunch of regular dudes.
There's one thing that regular dudes love to do more than anything else.
Sports.
When you're a kid, you're playing them. When you're an adult, you're watching them, or you may be coaching them if you've got.
You could always do your softball league, your beer leagues or your volleyball leagues. We have a lot of not intramural. I guess that's not the right word. Recreational league sports here in Austin. So.
Yeah, I love softball. I played, pretty competitive softball up until I've been playing about 3 years, I think. So, basically, when my kids got old enough to really start playing sports, that's when I kind of. You kind of got to put the focus on them. So maybe I'll do a senior league one day. But the point is that we're sports guys. We got our teams. We'll talk about our teams a little bit later. I think we were supposed to wear shirts for this episode.
I brought a Bears jersey for this episode.
Yeah, and you didn't wear it.
I didn't wear it. You were supposed to have a Falcons jersey.
I bought a Braves shirt at the airport, and it's in my bag currently. So who knows? Before the end of this episode, the shirt may come off.
Just leave your shirt on, please.
Yeah, okay. So, here's the thing. There's now a tension being created, and, blockchain and cryptocurrency are the next generation of money. Well, is eSports, gaming, the next generation of regular sports? Everything is moving digital, and this is very important. You'll hear us say this a lot. Everything is moving digital. People are going to have to make money in different ways. And when we were growing up, who was your hero growing up?
My grandpa.
Well, besides your grandpa, I'm talking about who? Like an athlete.
Cal Ripken Jr.
Ooh, I love me some Cal Ripken Jr.
You know what? I got a terrible story about him though. He's such an asshole.
What?
Sorry. So I'm like, I forget how young I am. And so the Orioles are playing the White Sox. I'm a kid. I'm just a little guy. They play in a night game at Comiskey Field on the south side of Chicago. I am so excited. I got my Cal, because at this point I'm in playing T-ball, and I'm on the Orioles, so I got a Cal Ripken jersey. I got the number 8. I think that was his number, right? Yeah, so that was me. So I was super excited. I got my jersey there. I want him to sign it. After the game, they beat the White Sox. My dad takes me to the right where they're coming out for the buses. He's got 4 or 5 beers in his hands. And I'm like, hey, Mr. Ripken, autograph. He's just like, basically, fuck you, little kid, and just walks right by me with his beers. No autograph. I think I burned my jersey the next morning.
Well, when you're the Iron Man and you don't miss a single game, you ain't got time for nothing but baseball. Oh, man.
But you crushed a little guy's dreams.
Yeah, I hate to hear that. One of my hopes is that, there's never a story about me like that. Where somebody's like, oh, you know what? I saw BitBoy on YouTube, and I saw him at the mall. Who goes to malls anymore? No. I sound like I'm 94 years old. I only go to the mall at 9 a.m. with New Balances on to walk around.
Just to walk the floors?
Yeah, but let me tell you, I can whip them grannies. Okay.
Woo! That's another show.
But, the thing is that, I don't ever want anybody to meet me and come away with a bad impression.
Right.
But, now, if I road rage on someone, that might be a different situation. That's happened before, okay? But in terms of like someone walking up to me and being like, "Oh, hey, I watch your channel." It's happened to me a few times, and I try to always be nice to the people, and I think that's really the way you have to be. I hate to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's a different, when you're I guess an international star like Cal Ripken was back in the '90s or whenever it was. It's a little bit different than being a famous TikToker.
That makes me really sad. You're 100% correct. I mean, I'm certainly not comparing myself.
But no, I know you weren't. But I get the point. The point really is that it's all about being humble and having a little humility. Especially if you become a public figure. People look up to you. I think showing a little respect, it goes a long way.
I agree 100%.
Yeah. So you're right.
I mean, we've all met celebrities in person at some point. Probably everybody's met a celebrity like randomly or saw them at the store or whatever. And, you might catch them on a bad day. You got to think about that too. I mean, everybody's got a bad day here and there, but, you definitely want to reciprocate niceness.
Yeah.
That's the way I see things. So Cal Ripken Jr. was your hero until that fateful night.
Until that night.
Yeah. Terrible night. My hero was probably the biggest person I was a real big fan of as a kid was Ken Griffey Jr. I loved Ken Griffey Jr. I learned how to hit left-handed
Cool fact about Ken Griffey Jr. is that him and Ken Griffey Sr. are the only father-son combo to ever hit back-to-back jacks in a game.
Wow, that's really trivia.
Yeah.
I think they're the only one to be in the same lineup also.
Oh, really?
I think. Now, the Ripkens, there was an older Ripken, and then there was a brother, Billy Ripken.
Billy Ripken.
Yeah, I remember Billy. I don't remember the dad's name. I think the dad played.
It was Cal Ripken Sr.
Oh, he was. You're right. Yeah.
Because it was Cal Ripken Jr.
Cal Ripken Jr. Somebody's just kind of like disappeared. Like nobody knows who he is anymore. You know what I'm saying? But when we were growing up, that was like the dude.
Dude, there was like a couple guys in like that who had you had Ryan Sandberg, Ken Griffey Jr. Man, who are some other just huge names?
Well, I keep thinking about people on those same teams. You had Jay Buhner back in the day. You had
Chipper Jones
Mike
with
Piazza.
the Braves.
Mike Piazza was a superstar there for a while.
Yeah.
A lot of good players. So
but these are superstars that were not in crypto.
Right. Well,
they were back in the day.
Yeah.
We got some people that are some athletes that are into crypto.
Yeah, and we're gonna discuss that. We're gonna go through a list of some different athletes that are in cryptocurrency, and that's important to you and me. I think the greater question we got to answer here is this important to the next generation that's going to be picking up where we left off. I don't know if it is. We'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, so of course we got first and foremost Spencer Dinwiddie. We talk about him a pretty good bit. I can't believe we haven't had him on the podcast. But he made sure that sports fans got a glimpse of crypto when he announced that he was going to tokenize his $34 million contract. And Spencer Dinwiddie, when I first heard about him in crypto, nobody really knew who he was, but he's becoming I won't say he's a star in the NBA, but for people that watch the NBA regularly, he's a name they know for sure. He's a good player.
And if you're in crypto Twitter, he's definitely a star because, he interacts with people.
Yeah, they say when you're in high school, the quickest way to get popular is to just like hang out with the kids doing drugs and do drugs with them. You know what I'm saying? They say the quickest way to get popular in sports is to come over to crypto because then you're the god of crypto Twitter. Yeah. Even if Spencer Dinwiddie wasn't good, everybody'd be like, "Oh my God, Spencer Dinwiddie is an NBA player," You
got 10 people frothing at the mouth.
Oh my God, maybe 11 even. Maybe 11 people in
So
crypto.
so he wanted to tokenize his contract, but the Nets didn't allow it, right?
I think the NBA didn't allow it. I think I can't remember what the ultimate results were of that. There was like a litigation. I think filed a lawsuit or when you say it, it sounds like real legal and technical, and I'm sure it is. But it's not like aggressively suing the NBA kind of lawsuit. It's just like he's suing the rule that wouldn't allow him to do that because it's his money. So, but then what you're doing is you're like offering up your money to other investors, and I bet there's some kind of weird stuff there. But nobody's doing more for crypto in sports than Spencer Dinwiddie right now. He's a guy that really gets it.
Got another basketball player, Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
I think when he went to the Trump and Kim Jong-un summit, he was wearing a Potcoin shirt.
I remember that.
Shout out to Josh, Potcoin. What's up, man?
How is Potcoin doing these days? Is it all-time highs?
You got me.
Zing.
Zing.
Yeah. So, definitely remember that. That whole story was crazy from top to bottom. We talked in a previous episode where we went over some celebrities in crypto about Richard Sherman, how he got into Bitcoin. He has been an investor in Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum. Shout out to my boy R. Sherm. No one calls him that. I just made that up. But old R. Sherm out for the season. I think he tore his Achilles or his ACL. So,
do you think he ever had a perm? And people that would call him Sherm Perm or
Sherm the Perm. Maybe so. I can see it.
Permy Shermy?
I can dig it. Richard Sherman, I remember when he went off on Michael Crabtree in the back of that end zone. It was crazy. Yeah, so, and we got another football player that was involved in cryptocurrency, but he actually got scammed.
Oh, yes, that's right, Darren Mcfadden.
Yeah, great Arkansas SEC running back. Go Dogs.
So what is it? So he got ripped off of $3 million in Bitcoin, which could have been, I think, like 200 million something right now.
From like his business manager, financial manager.
What a jerk.
Crap.
That's what you got to surround yourself with the right people.
I got one of those right now.
Ooh, you better watch those biddies.
I'm going to have to open the door and see. Oh, my gosh. He's on my computer right now. He's going to steal all my money.
He's got your private key. One more football player, Matt Barkley. He's the quarterback for the Bills, similar to what Dinwiddie did. I think he wanted to get his contract paid in crypto, but the league, the Bills, and the Bengals said no.
Wow, that would really be cool, tokenizing the league minimum.
Does he not make money?
He's a backup. He might be third string. He hadn't played in years.
So let me ask you a question.
In a game, I don't think.
I'm going to take us off topic for a second. If you had the opportunity to get into the NFL, but it was just to be on the practice squad, and so you're the tackling dummy for Brian Urlacher.
It doesn't sound fun.
No, but you're going to make the league minimum, which is what, $300,000?
Yeah, I don't know if the scout team makes $300,000.
League minimum. You have to. If you're in the league, you're making the minimum.
But you're not on the roster. You're not an official player.
Oh no. You're not just a tackling dummy.
So you're one of the 53.
Oh, you're on. Yeah, you got a jersey. Your name's on a jersey. But you got to get beat up daily by like some.
Well, they kind of do. The NFL kind of does this, and I found out something really interesting. I was listening to Pat McAfee. Do you know who he is?
No. Yes. His
podcast is getting huge in the world of sports. He moved over to Mad Dog Radio on SiriusXM. I love that guy. He's got a terrible mouth, but he keeps it real, and I like that about him. You know, and he actually confirmed what I believe is that a lot of times these teams will go and recruit players from other teams to come be their 53rd man, strictly because they have information on the team they just left from.
I mean, you have to think. Do they have to sign like NDAs and stuff?
See, that was the question. That was the question someone asked him, and I've always wondered. I probably could have looked it up, but to hear experientially from an NFL player, a former NFL player, say like, there ain't no NDAs. If you come to your new team and you don't tell them what was going on with your old team, especially if you face them or they're in your division, then you're not loyal to your new team. Ooh. And if you got cut, you're already borderline player. So it could be a contract issue as well. But a lot of times, and I've noticed this, the Falcons have brought in Saints players a couple weeks before the games. Saints have got players that we've cut before we play. And then you never hear them. They never play, so. They're
just there to give the info. Yeah. What the signs mean, some sign stealers. The Patriots got in trouble for a lot of that.
Patriots been in trouble for a lot of stuff. But, these guys in the NFL aren't the only guys in crypto, the NBA and the NFL. You have, I don't see any baseball players in the list. Because, don't we think the baseball players are, like, the most behind the times?
Oh, yeah, man. They're still drinking Budweisers and putting in Copenhagen chews, man. They don't care about crypto.
They still think Cracker Jacks is an appropriate dinner.
Peanuts and Cracker Jacks.
They're wearing the fake tattoos that come on the inside. Surprise.
Surprise. All right, so we're talking now global soccer.
Yeah.
I don't know much about soccer, although and some of these names kind of seem familiar. Lionel Messi.
Yeah, Lionel Messi. He's the biggest star in the world.
Well, he's not very clean.
He's dirty. Oh.
Gotcha once.
Got a Ron Mexico situation, I guess. But yeah, and then we got other soccer players. You guys have all know of him. You've all heard of him. Didier Drogba and Ronaldinho. You guys know them. I've heard of Ronaldinho. I don't know Drogba. Do you know Drogba?
Didier Drogba? Nope.
I don't know. If they're not on the Atlanta United, I got no clue who they are. I'll just tell you like that.
The Didier guys from Ivory Coast, I don't even know what that means.
Yeah. Well, probably maybe they were. Are there elephants in Africa? rhinoceroses.
There's elephances. Elephances.
Yeah,
jeez.
African elephants there are.
Yep.
Yeah. But elephants are mostly in Asia, I think, aren't they? Like in India?
So there's two kinds. There's Asian and then Indian elephants, I believe. And it has to do like with their ears. They're shaped like one's big and then one's shaped a little bit different. And that's how you can tell the difference of continent of the elephants. I do know that. I learned that from my wife.
I actually learned when we were in Disney World about rhinoceros is a similar thing. You only have two kinds. You have the black rhino and the white rhino.
The black one is the one that's like super endangered or extinct, right?
I can't remember which one's which, but the long and the short of it is the only reason why the black one is called a black rhino is because it was just a mistranslation of a word, like into English, and so they've been calling it the wrong thing. Ain't nothing black about it. It's gray.
It's gray.
All rhinos are gray.
Well, gray is a mix of black and white. If you take two paints,
but I'm saying like they're pretty close in color.
Right.
So why would you call one black and one whatever?
I get that. But what the most important thing about like this soccer takeaway is that there's only a few soccer players in there. But if you guys are watching the headlines, I mean, you're starting to see a lot of soccer clubs are taking on sponsorships from cryptocurrency. So you'll see them like along the digital dasher. That goes around the
you're
field and
right.
stuff.
Yeah, we've seen the Bitcoin advertised all around there. That's the merging of the digital and the physical. Very interesting. So and then those are big teams you guys may have heard of if you're into soccer. Juventus, Roma. I've even heard of these ones. Paris Saint-Germain, Benfica. I don't know what that is.
West Ham United.
West Ham United. I don't care where my ham is from, as long as it's a pig.
There's two places where I like to get ham from. Iberico.
Okay.
And then there's an Italian one. I forget.
Is prosciutto? Is that ham?
Yeah.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Prosciutto di Parma. That's what it is in Parma, Italy.
Can you say that again?
Prosciutto di Parma.
Oh, I love it.
Ooh, so this weekend I was actually at a cousin's wedding, and I come from an Italian side. So it was all my Italian uncles and everybody. And I learned, and I love sparkling water, but I learned how to say it in Italian.
How do you say it?
Agua mineral de gasse.
Wow. Italian is a weird language.
It's basically like Spanish, but a little different.
That's the thing. It's kind of like, I got a big problem with people from England and Canadians. Sorry, guys. You're too much like me, but too different from me, too, and it scares me.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. How about that? Yeah, I can't handle it. Cheerio. Like.
Pip, pip.
Yeah.
Bloody mate.
Oh, and I just brought a new Brit into my household.
Yes. You got a little puppy dog.
So he's the only British thing I allow. I mean, I'm kind of being tongue-in-cheek here about my thing with British people and Canadians, but it is weird the way that they're so close. Like, you go to those places, and there's so many things that are so similar, but it's just these little things are off, and it's like you're living in an alternate universe. That's how it is in Canada for sure. I haven't actually been to England, but I would assume it's like that.
It's just like what you see in the movies, I bet. I've not been either, but I can only imagine. It's just like the movies.
I was in Canada last year, and it just confirmed everything that I had remembered from the last time I was in Canada when I was much younger. We also have Iron Mike Tyson. You guys know Mike Tyson. We talked about him a lot here. He invested into some Mike Tyson Bitcoin ATMs in 2015. He's actually been like a victim of where projects have tried to use his name for clout, and he's like, I have nothing to do with that project. I don't know why they're using it. There was a big like Mike Tyson coin or something. Really? I remember that.
I love with his Bitcoin ATM thing. There's a quote: Mike Tyson's fastest knockout in the ring was 30 seconds, but the Mike Tyson Bitcoin ATM can turn your cash into Bitcoin in under 20.
Real quick,
I wish I could say that. Like, they call me an animal.
Real quick, I saw a lady using a Bitcoin ATM in my local gas station, and every time I see somebody using that thing, they're the sketchiest looking people I've ever seen. Like, she was there, like, I was curious what she was doing over there. Like, was she buying Bitcoin? Was she buying Litecoin? Like, hey, I do cryptocurrency for a living, But every time they're there, they look like they don't want anybody to see them.
Well, it's like that would make sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because you could do that. I mean, you could go. I know that they KYC with a phone number on most of them, but you could just get a burner phone so you don't have to like say who you are.
A lot of them you have to put your license on.
That's so stupid.
Yeah,
like CoinFlip and all that.
Most of them now you do. Yeah, all the ones I've seen. I think CoinFlip is the one. No, I think Bitcoin Depot is the only one that I've used. So. But let's bring this.
Let's bring it back.
Bring it back here.
So we were going to talk about eSports.
Yeah. So here's the question. We grew up with real athlete heroes. You know who my kids' heroes are? Ninja.
What's that?
He is the number one most well-known video gamer. He makes like millions of dollars a month playing Fortnite and other games, I guess, probably too.
So how does that happen? Do people just pay to watch you play video games?
YouTube. You just watch him stream on, or Twitch. You watch him stream on Twitch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then, of course, he got sponsorships and all kinds of things like that. And the question is, with the pandemic going on, I can tell you the Braves, been in the playoffs, and I wasn't as interested in baseball as I have in previous years, even though the Braves were in contention. When it comes to football, football is the closest to normal, I think, because they're doing a great job of not showing the stands.
Right.
When they do show the stands, totally weird. Like Green Bay, Lambeau, with nobody in there.
It's like, what am I watching, a practice?
Because I'm going to have a sci-fi movie, NBA, like, I'm a huge Lakers fan. Like, I love the Lakers. I could care less this year. And it's not, for me personally, it's not like about the political stuff. It's just like, I can't wrap my mind around, like, this is just some dudes playing in a gym. This is not like, it's not a game. It's like NBA game's an experience.
Yeah.
They're taking that whole part. There's no home court advantage.
Well, we were talking about something that there was a team that was took it upon themselves because they were playing the boos and the cheers and all that stuff. So it's definitely one-sided where the home team's experiencing nothing but cheers, but when the visiting team's doing something, they're getting boos and razzed, and we're pumping up the defense. Which, what's that? Is that the right thing to do? Is it give you? I mean, because if it was in a game where you had fans, you would have that advantage of having your hometown crowd.
Yeah, I guess it's a slight advantage, but the noise level they're pumping in isn't nearly as loud as real people would be.
That's a good point.
Maybe real people at a Falcons game because there's only 7 of us, but
Dirty Birds. Oh, we should talk about that real quick.
Yeah, it's not good.
Not good.
But we'll talk about that here in a second. When the Bears played the Falcons, his team versus my team.
Go Bears.
Yeah, I don't think we need to talk about it. Honestly, it was a miserable experience for me. We were up by 16 points in the fourth quarter, and we did what Falcons do, and we lost. And I was so sure that we were going to win, just like every time they rug pulled me.
You were trash talking and everything.
I was ready, man. I thought, once they didn't get a 2-point conversion, the Bears, I was like, oh, they still got to get 2 scores. This game's over. No, don't worry. The Falcons will always invent new ways to lose games. So it was a very sad moment in my life. But, are eSports and gaming taking over? Are they going to ultimately replace sports? No injuries. You don't have injuries in eSports. You see, I know a guy, my personal trainer at the gym, which, yes, I do go 5 days a week. He is a football coach. He coaches defensive line for a private school. And, they had a kid. He's been in a coma. I think he just came out of the coma after like a week and a half. Almost died from a brain injury from playing football.
See, I grew up playing football, and the injuries that I have to my body and the pain that I go through almost on a daily basis, I wouldn't worth it. Like, if I have a son, like, I don't want him to play as much as I want him to play and to experience that.
That's where I'm at too. We tried football. It's just like my kid's got a good life. You know what I'm saying? My kids have a really good life. They got no reason to want to go out and hit somebody. So I get my oldest son into football, and he just doesn't have that, like, killer instinct that some of the other players on the team had, mostly due to the fact that they're having to fend for themselves, like in, a lot of, families from lower economic levels, kids, we didn't know if they were getting fed at home. Actually, we knew some of the kids on the team weren't getting fed at home. We actually brought them food and drinks from time to time. Me and my wife did. And, some of those football players, they're just they just got a lot.
They got that killer instinct.
They got the killer instinct, because they have to have it. When you're 7 or 8 years old and you have a killer instinct, it's probably not because you're just competitive. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's true.
My kid's really competitive, but, like, he doesn't. Here's the best way to say it. My kid, when we played football for a season, he did not want to rip people's throats out. He wanted to tackle them and put them on the ground. But he's facing up against kids
They want
to rip his throat out. You know, it
little
seven,
bit of a
7 and 8
mismatch.
years old.
Yep.
You know, so there's a lot of stuff going on around sports, and reasons why I would predict that at some point in the future we will see, esports taking over. And you may not have heard this, but the one asset that has outperformed Bitcoin over this year is, I think it's 2 separate gaming ETFs focused on esports.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think Bitcoin's up like 30 or 40% for the year, and they're up like 60%.
Oh, wow.
So,
I mean, we know gaming. I mean, gaming as a whole is going to all new levels. I mean, it's first off, like the digital world is upon us, right? Like things are going digital, so video games are digital. But also, like with crypto, that's where mass adoption is going to happen, especially if that industry just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Unfortunately, I'm not a video gamer. I've got real bad ADHD. I can't sit down and play video games. I could watch for like 5 minutes, but then I got to get up.
Yeah.
So that's not going to be me.
Yeah, I hear you. And it's weird being in this world of cryptocurrency and having to be up to date on this stuff that I, like, in my regular non-crypto life would have no interest in, but it's making me more interested in these things, but really from an informational perspective and to understand fundamentally how these things fit within the world of cryptocurrency. But yeah, I think the whole thing is everything is going digital. The way people are making money in the future is going to be drastically different than the way that people are making money now. That may be a little tease.
Ooh, I like that.
Might be a little tease. Might have some big news coming up at some point in the very near future. So I think that's about it. I mean, we covered it. We covered, athletes and crypto.
Athletes, eSports.
Gaming.
All
Are
those.
esports and gaming the same thing?
I have no idea.
I don't either. Dang it.
So an esport, is that like everybody getting together, watching a bunch of dudes play Madden?
I mean, esports, to me, if I were to put a definition, like a non-gamer definition on it, I would say, like, the thing I think about the most, tournaments. Like, you play tournaments. Like, Fortnite has a big thing because my kids play it. My kids have never actually played in the little tournaments they have, but, they kind of have, like, little... It's like a giant tournament, giant playoffs, where you qualify to get to the, maybe
eSports.
in real life tournaments down the road. You got to, like, constantly level up and beat all these people, and then you get to go to the next level. Whatever it is, that's esports. I think when people are getting sponsorships, that's esports. When people are playing, when someone is, well, I was going to say, like, there's a guy that's always trying to beat speed records for different, like, Nintendo games. Pretty fun to watch. Like, Mario, he just, like, done in, like, 5 minutes or less.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah. I don't know. Is that an esport? Because, like, it's competition.
Mario.
You're trying to get a world record. I guess it could probably be.
Do you get a Guinness Book of World Record if you can beat Mario fastest?
Look, Guinness Book of World Record is a scam, bro.
Why?
Because it's not like it's a definitive list of every record in the world. Like,
oh, people just make it up. Like I just saw one the other day where there's this dude. He's a handicapped guy and he's in a wheelchair, and he just set like the land speed record for the fastest wheelchair, and he got a Guinness Book of Records thing.
Yeah, exactly. So when people do stuff in video games like that, like that's kind of like the individual sport e-games. Like the tennis, if you will.
The Olympic sports, as they
I guess
call
not, because on Fortnite you play on a team usually. Like you'll have this thing called squads where you got 4 people, or duos where you got 2. So you got
Squad up.
teams. Yeah. So I think all this is going to take over. The way people are making money now is going to change drastically, and I think that you guys need to be paying attention to that, because chances are, if you're doing a job that is not on the internet or digital, that you will not have a job in 10 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I guess there's only one thing left to say.
Join the practice squad.
Join the practice squad. And just keep your gaming. And in the interim, grow your beards and your portfolios, because we're out.